Can I join the goblet crew?
Because last time
Oh,
you
no.
also kind of forgot to stop recording.
This is the
Hey,
goblet.
there it is.
There it is. So
Not
yeah,
to destroy the magic, everyone,
Yeah.
but again, Spotify have got an extra 30 seconds of audio there.
Just part of me had a feeling,
Yeah.
maybe
Maybe it
wasn't.
happened again.
oh,
Well,
it does-
everything was moving along pretty swiftly, and I was like,
We've missed a
I
step.
wonder
should
if
always
we're
remember to
recording.
record. So I've got a goblet for Christmas with my name on it. I've also got a whiskey glass with my name as well. I love it.
That is so cool.
Yeah, thank
drink
you.
a bit of
I got a
whiskey?
couple of pint glasses, one for my 21st and one for my 30th.
It's
with
got your
my
name
on
on
it
it.
that my aunt Michelle got me. Very, very nice glasses.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Really cool.
Can I call her out?
Good present.
Well done,
No, you
Aunt
can't.
Michelle.
I don't know. She might be listening now. She knows that I mentioned her. Maybe she'll listen.
That's one more view.
That's how we got up to 1,000 subs. Is basically everyone in my family subscribed.
Yeah.
So living the dream. That's
And
the way to do it, right?
We've been one subscriber off as 1,100.
It went down
It's a
as well, did you
tease. It's a
see?
proper. It went down,
such
and
a
we're back
tease.
to
Then it went back up
199
again.
again. Such a
But
tease.
someone's messing with us. I
I
don't know
know.
whoever's out there who's subbing and unsubbing.
It's Dale.
Why?
He
Well,
said
it is.
it's Dale. He keeps saying if I
Dale.
unsub and sub, will it work?
No, that's
Oh, should we so if it's your first time here, we do this little
Welcome.
section.
What?
The beer
This
section.
is a podcast about flesh and blood where we also drink a beer. And normally we chat for a bit before we drink a beer, but we chatted quite a lot before the podcast started, and now we're very
Well,
thirsty.
more importantly, we've got lots of questions to get through from
Yeah,
our
we've got a busy
adoring
schedule.
listeners.
Yeah. So let's kick this off. Beer time.
Hamish, what are you drinking?
Oh, thank you, Simon. So, Mike Kerslake, an amazing human being from the Northampton area, has brought. Well, he has brought all of us some drinks, but I've got them, and he knows what
Yeah.
you guys like.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited to see what this is.
I'm gonna try it.
Can I guess the brewery? Like,
Oh, if
Is
you
it-
want, Simon, if it's gonna
Well,
if
this
it's gonna
is
if it's gonna bring you joy, guess the bloody brewery.
is it Tiny Rebel?
No,
Beavertown.
no.
Shame.
Oh.
Is it
No,
Sorry,
Tesco-
Mike. In the
I did-
bin.
I didn't wanna get-
Tesco Best Bitter?
It's Amity
oh,
Brew
Oh.
Company. It's a cinnamon
looks
bun
good.
Bessie stout.
Oh, yeah.
cinnamon stout. That sounds delicious.
And
That
I've
sounds
got
great.
this.
Cortado, por favor.
Yeah,
Cortado,
awful
a small
It's a
coffee.
coffee.
It's
Yeah,
an
so that's going to be a
oatmeal.
coffee stout. Yeah.
oatmeal milk
That
stout
sounds-
brewed with coffee. Oh, fucking coffee and stout, Mike.
Genuinely, that sounds great. Don't
That
drink
sounds
that
delicious.
one. Bring that one down.
Can you just bring them to us, please?
Yeah.
Do you not want to see?
drink the non-coffee one?
Okay,
You
drink
won't
the
like that
non-coffee one.
You
Okay,
won't like
and
that
I'll
one.
okay. I
I
won't like
would.
that one.
I'd love that.
All right.
Sounds
Well, next time I
amazing.
meet you, I'll bring it. Okay. I'll for the people. I will do this for you for the disgustingness. And I have
Can you
brought
tell
up.
us where
I bought a backup
the-
beer.
where
What's
is
the
the brewery?
It's
Where
a
is that? Oh, you've
just
got the
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn Pilsner.
that's a Christmas
Yeah.
beer from Gail,
Right.
mum-in-law. Thank you, mum-in-law, Gail.
Where's the brewery?
What?
Said
Where's the-
Simon.
Where's Mike's brewery there that he's bought you beer from?
I don't know.
It say on the can.
Oh,
It's
I'm so stupid.
so good. I don't know what mine's.
Strange Brewing. At Strange Brewing. That's the Instagram.
I'll have a
Don't know
look.
where
All right.
Okay.
Cortado
Yeah,
Corporal
Strange
Law.
Brewing.
Alright.
That's the brewery. So it's,
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I'm learning.
Now we know where it's brewed. Wherever
Simon.
that is.
Simon, old twirly, old mustache Simon. What you drinking?
Mustache. So I've got a very similar drink to Hamish tonight in a similarly themed glass. I'm drinking from my Father's Day Darth Vader I'm
Very
your
cool.
father tankard.
It's the most
I'm
used
drinking.
glass I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. I'm drinking a Black Sheep Brewery milk stout.
Ah. This is
4.4%, creamy, rich, and dark.
This has worked so well, guys.
Have you got a stout?
Oh,
as
I've got it.
well?
We actually
I
did
know.
it for the first time.
Come on.
I've actually also got a dark ale, dark art,
Yes.
sorry, chocolate stout.
Oh,
Oh.
dark arts are so good as well.
Magic Rock brewery.
Okay, so we've done
Yeah.
it. We've finally done it. The
We've done
first
the same
time.
kind of beer.
We're
I
all
think
wearing
we've done.
Magic Rock's
The
also
same stuff.
Yorkshire, isn't it?
I didn't say, just said UK, but I'll take your word for it. But
I think they're around that way.
Huddersfield.
Yeah, Yorkshire.
Yeah,
Alright,
Black Sheep is North Yorkshire.
I'm cracking this open. Now, I will say that
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah, cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
If you grab a drink, join in. If you're driving in the car.
How strong
don't
is
do
your
it.
Dark Arts chocolate though? Is it like
6%.
7?
6.
I mean, it smells nice. It looks
Yeah,
nice.
delicious.
Out of the can's a bit odd, actually.
I'm putting it in the
Get a
goblet.
glass, come on.
I mean, it smells nice. And there's something about stout and all these flavors that I'm like, oh man, I feel like I'm missing out.
You feel like a grown up.
It's a different kind of beer. It's like a.
Oh, that looks delicious.
that
Look at
looks
it.
Really good.
Yeah, all right, okay, everyone, I'm coming in. I'm coming in for a sip. 3, 2,
See.
1.
You've got to
Good
drink
stuff.
enough that you get through the
Yeah,
head.
give it a good sip.
Oh, look at him go. There we go.
What do you think?
Mm.
Just let it
Oh,
sit.
You look.
Let
You
it
sound.
sit.
Okay, you know
Go
what?
for the
You know what?
go for the caramel flavors, the hints of dark roasted. That's a 10.
Yeah.
The ice cream guy. That's
Yeah.
so good. Just gotta
Gotta
aerate it.
This must
Invert
be
the
audio heaven
Oh,
for
God.
headphone listeners.
The
Oh,
ASMR crew.
Yeah.
Are
Hamish
absolutely
and
loving
Simon
this.
just making noises with their mouth. God,
Oh my god, it's actually not
only
bad.
the best. Yay!
That clip though, I love that clip.
Glad you like it. Glad you like it.
It feels like you know when you're at, again, it's like the beer festival thing when you're like,
Yeah,
this is as
I know
good as
what you
it
mean, though.
gets. You know, and you kind of just and you plow through it and then you get steaming.
Yeah, you kind of, and then the next beer, you're like, wow, this is really tasty, and you finish that, and then by the third beer, everything tastes good.
No,
'cause you're-
nothing like it always start, I hate that they always come up with me because I'm so bloody weak.
We should
All
we should
rank.
do a beer festival together, the three of us, and
That
we
would be
should
so
do some YouTube content from the beer festival. I think that would
There's
be
one
hilarious.
in Leeds. It's normally in Leeds Town Hall, but I think it's in like in the country outside of Leeds this year.
Okay.
But we could potentially do that.
There's
If it
Nottingham Beer
aligned, maybe
Festival,
I
but it's
might
not
align.
till October.
Yeah, that sounds like
Yeah,
fun.
we should do that. We should do that.
I'd
That
love
sounds
to do a
like
beer
fun.
festival with you guys. That would be so good. And we'd have to choose each other's beers.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I was at a country pub yesterday on a bit of a walk in the nice
hang
chill
on.
air.
Are we doing home news?
Yeah, we're doing home news. so
Okay,
do the-
home news. Home news. All
How
right.
has that become a thing?
It's 3 episodes in a row. We've kept it up now.
I was at a lovely
I
country
hated,
pub.
I hated it in the beginning too, but now it's the thing. We've got to deal with these things, Simon. I'll roll with the punches.
What are you saying, Simon? You
What
went
were you doing, Henry?
outside, yeah, and
You were
then what?
Went outside, went for a walk, frozen canal, and
Did
then
you
we ended
walk
up
on
at
it?
a country pub. No, I wasn't brave enough.
Good luck.
Mostly because I saw the dogs go in for their throw toy.
Was this
No, they
animal
never came out.
tested?
No, they did come out, but the ice broke, and they went in. And then we ended up sat by a nice open fire in the pub, and I was drinking a pint of local stout from a Melton Mowbray
I
brewery,
can't.
and
I
it was
can't.
really nice.
I'm sorry. I can't listen. I just imagine all these it's a local Nottingham tradition. Let's see if the lake is frozen. It's called chuck your dog in. It's a pretty standard thing in Nottingham.
Oh,
And then you're just on the news. You could tell it's a frozen day. The dogs have landed. Back to you, Sarah.
Lost a dog to a frozen canal.
Yeah.
recently.
Seeing people thrown.
That's a great story. So
I like it how
thanks for sharing.
our made up imagination.
I
is
didn't know
just-
that Melton Mowbray did a stout because they're famous for their pork pies, are they not?
They are. They
Ah.
are famous for their pork
Do
pie.
they have
too.
a pork
well
pie
done.
stout?
This one wasn't a pork pie stout. No.
I feel like they're missing a trick there. All right, Trip.
Oh, I
Home
mean,
news.
the trouble is, home news was a great segment when we weren't playing Fab very much. Because my weekend, I was at ProQuest.
You went to
all
2
weekend.
ProQuest.
I know,
We're coming
but
to that.
come
Don't
on,
talk about
28,
those.
I know,
Yeah,
I
I know. I'm not gonna.
Good.
I'm not gonna talk about it.
Well,
I
Well, you
will
do
talk
have
about
some
my-
home news because you.
Simon, you
Is there something
peeking
I
through
should know,
are you hiding in the corner again?
What?
Oh, is it?
Simon's there going, I know what you've been doing.
What's my home news?
Yeah,
Simon?
go on,
no,
Simon.
no,
What's Strip's
no.
home
It was
news?
more that like you had a nice weekend with family because you didn't come to the Battle Hardened.
I decided to not go to Leeds because Kate, my wife, who it's weird to talk about because she's literally sat about 3 meters away from me to the right.
So,
Had just come back from doing Panto, so for a combination of financial and just wanting to hang out with her, I decided not to go to Leeds. So that was very nice. I was going to talk about my beer. We kind of moved on so swiftly
oh,
because
okay.
I have a story about my beers.
Okay, well, that'll be a home news. Go.
Okay.
So
All
what
right.
happened? These were birthday beers, right? Which I should have got in October, but they were never delivered. Can you guess the delivery company who was meant to deliver?
Was
my
it
beers?
Hermes Now Every?
It was indeed Hermes. Now,
Wow,
every
Wow.
what a
So,
shock.
hang on.
What a
I don't
surprise.
know. So why is this a thing?
They're
Because
dreadful.
they're generally renowned as the worst delivery company in the UK.
Okay, I
If you've
didn't
ever
know.
used them,
Now you
you'll
know.
know. You'll know.
Yeah,
They're dreadful.
yeah.
Okay.
Although our
Well,
local guy's pretty good. So
The first of them, it was my brother-in-law who bought me the beers. He went back to the beer company. They said, "Oh, sorry, we'll send them another box of beers." That never arrived.
oh jeez.
All
And
right.
then, 3 months later, I got 2 boxes of beers.
All
So
right.
now
3 months
I'm
in
set. I'm set now for Push the Point,
the
for, like,
every delivery
year.
network.
and it
Oh,
was
wow.
full of stouts as well. So patience is a virtue. That's the moral. That we should have a moral, a Push the Point moral.
Are we
every
ending?
episode.
Yeah, a moral.
Patience is a virtue. That's my moral for Push
Are
the
we
Point
just
this year.
becoming like the Star Wars Clone Wars cartoon episodes where they have
yeah. So
at the beginning of every episode
Carry
they
on.
have
Yeah.
like a
I can't think of any. It's been quite a while since I watched.
okay.
What's the moral of the
You mean
story?
Hamish.
Anyway, sorry, we
Don't
can't get
throw your
stuck
dog in the
into
river to see how
Star
icy
Wars
it is.
Clone Wars. We have so little time
Okay.
to answer all these great questions, so we'll move swiftly on.
Right. Okay. What? You don't want me to do my home news?
No,
do your
do
home
your
news.
Oh, just do your bloody
My
home
car's
news.
been broke all week. Right.
Yeah.
And my dad's little crappy.
No money.
What's that?
Your car's got no money.
Yeah, my car's as cars do. Cars know when you're at your most skint. They've got a money meter, a hidden, if you didn't know, a money meter. So you got the fuel, you got the heating, you got the rev counters, and then secretly behind the dashboard, there's the money meter. If it knows you've got money, the car runs fine. But when your money runs low, the car goes, uh-oh.
Yeah.
The money meter's
it's a-
gone. So
Better
it's
do
time
something
to
about
blow up a piece of equipment, right?
Yeah. If
Expose the elements.
Expose the
probably
elements, as
know
they say.
about the TV license in the UK. It works the same way. You have a meter in your house, and you put the money in to top up your TV license every month, right? That's how it works.
I think
It's
so.
the same with cars.
That is
Yeah, just
basically how it works.
you got like a little slot. You put a couple of pound coins in, get like an extra couple of hours.
Oh no, the car's just, I don't know, maybe that was what it used to be like. But now modern day cars just have this Wi-Fi technology.
They measure
your
your
bank
wallet.
account.
They weigh
Yeah,
your
measure-
wallet. Yeah.
Yeah, they walk in and go, cool, you look like you've got a couple of pounds missing.
You can't afford petrol, so
Yeah, you can't afford petrol, so you don't need this engine. Anyway, so the car wasn't working. And then a fun little story was I tried to jump start my car, so I bump start it. So I'm luckily live on a bit of a hill, so
Have you done that before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Done it many times. Right.
Okay.
My dad's coming around to put the new alternator in. Long story short, I didn't need a new alternator. I just needed a battery. But
Right.
So I go down the hill. I said to my dad, "Can you just watch for 1 second? I'll just bump start the car, then I can swing it around." Okay, cool. Down I go. Won't turn over. I'm running out of hill here. Won't turn over. Oh my god, I'm down the bottom of the hill. Okay, but there's a more hill coming up. I've got a bit more hill, but I've got to push the car like
Were you on your own?
I was on my own.
Oh no. Oh.
Here I go. Just pushing this goddamn car about, I don't know, 100 yards, all on my
100
own.
yards,
And it's a
okay,
family
alright.
car, a Nissan Qashqai.
Yeah, it's a big old car.
And then this guy kindly stops and goes, do you know, mate? And I was like, yes, please. And off he
So
goes.
nice.
And he's like, are you going to be all right? It's like, I've got a good load of hill now. I think it should be good. Down I go. Won't turn over. And I was like, God, I'm going to have to stop this. There's cars coming left and right now. So I'm going to chuck it up on the side, ring up my dad, and just say, it's like an estate, so it's not.
He's
like
gone
Yeah.
double or nothing, hasn't he?
Yeah.
It's like,
I've gone.
if I can't get it started by the time I get to the bottom of this hill, I'm ditching it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna scrap it and go and buy a new car, right? So I get halfway, thinking I can't. This is like how much fuel I've got left is hill. I've only got half a hill left. So I ring up my dad. Daddy, I won't turn over. He's like, I'm wondering where you are. Freya's like going, Dad, where are you? And I was like, he won't turn over. And he went, turn the ignition on.
When you said it won't turn over, I thought you meant you'd turn the ignition on and you were trying to start it on the way down the hill. What were you doing?
Oh,
what were you doing?
So
you just put it.
You literally just put it in neutral, put it in first gear and roll
down the hill. And you're like, why is the engine not turning?
No, I wasn't doing.
Oh, this is fantastic.
So I put the key in,
Right.
and then take the handbrake off, put it into first.
Yeah.
You roll down a little bit, then you lift the clutch up, and it'll bump start the car.
Yeah, only if you
turn the ignition on. Yeah.
Yeah. Essentially turn the car on.
Brilliant.
I didn't turn the car on.
Oh,
No,
man.
And then the guy was like, I was thinking, fuck this car. And then
Do you reckon, Hamish, that guy who helped you?
I didn't even say thanks. So thank you, whoever you were.
He knew you were fucking up. And he's like,
I want to see this. I want a closer look.
He's like, do you want any help? And you're like, no. He's like, okay, fine.
No, he pushed it for a bit, and I was like, he went, are you all right? I was like, yeah. Jump in the car while it's moving. I was like,
amazing.
God, it was scary as fuck jumping into a car while it's moving. It is scary. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, turn your car on.
Jumpstart a car.
Yeah, there you go. That's my home news.
20 minutes in. And it's time for...
It's
time for a bit of a ProQuest review.
That was quicker. That was quicker than last time. We had some comments, some positive comments, actually. People like home news.
I'm going to end this by saying, Mike Kerslake, you did a fantastic job. I liked this
stout. That thing.
Can I drink the other one, or will I not like that?
Go on, try it. Try it. If you enjoyed the other one, you might enjoy this one. You might have got a taste for it.
All right, I'm doing it. Right.
While Hamish is opening that beer, Simon, do you want to tell us what we're gonna?
Yeah, so we're going to do a quick ProQuest review / Battle Harden review. I was the only one that made it to the Battle Harden, so we'll talk about that. And then we are going to spend the majority of the next 45 minutes talking about questions or answering questions from our dear listeners. Our dear listeners.
Yeah, we've done this a few times, and people do come up with some really good stuff.
So, so let's start with the Battle Hardened. For those of you who aren't aware, there was a Battle Harden in Leeds over the weekend of 14th, 15th of January. They did a Battle Harden on the Saturday. Hamish is looking very suspicious about this coffee stout.
Hang on. Just carry on.
And they did the ProQuest on the Sunday. Now, I believe there were about 177, 178 players at Battle Harden in Leeds, which surprisingly had representations from multiple European countries and outdid the New Jersey Battle Harden by about 50 players.
Oh my god!
Which I thought was great. Yeah, it's good that it's doing as well, if not better, than the New Jersey one. I didn't know.
And then I believe there was maybe the biggest ProQuest to take place so far, with over 170.
Yeah.
Over 170 players again for the ProQuest. Now, I was only there for the Saturday. I went for a day trip from Nottingham. It's about an hour and a half each way. Thank you to one of our patrons, Darren, for driving. And there were 3 patrons in the car. 2 patrons and me in the car on the way up. And it was a lovely day. The Battle Harden was an absolutely exceptional day. Bit of a confession, I was extremely hungover. It was my birthday, night out the day before. I'd had about 3 to 4 hours sleep, and my first 2 rounds reflected that with 2 losses to 2 lovely people. But then I kicked into gear and I went 5-1 for the rest on my Katsu deck. So 5-3 on the day. Had a lovely day, spoke to some wonderful people, gave away a lot of Metal Fab tokens. and just really soaked up the atmosphere of what was a lovely event in a nice venue run by great people. It was just a really lovely day.
Yeah, great to have another Battle Hardened in another Battle Hardened in the UK.
Yeah, we've
Technically,
had one.
we had one before, right?
We had
We've
a
had
Leeds one again.
two.
Yeah, that's the second one.
One was a fake one because it was before they changed
Oh,
what Battle
before they
Hardens
changed.
were, right? But yeah,
But
it sounds cool.
it reaffirmed my decision in 2023 to play more of the decks I enjoy playing and try to balance that competitive nature with actually enjoying the decks I've been playing. And I'm doing that again with Katsu. It's like I've come home to a deck that it just feels so comfortable, even though there are new pieces to it with the Crouching Tigers. I really enjoy playing it. It's not a top S tier deck, but it's semi-competitive and it's really a joy to play for me. So I've been enjoying that.
Yeah. Trip, do you want to go down your
Well, I think I guess
lane?
that covers the Battle Hardened. I guess we move on to the ProQuest. So
Yeah.
we've all played a ProQuest. We record this on Monday, so literally the weekend, just a couple of days in the past. I played Dyson Destiny in Canterbury on Sunday and Dark Sphere on Saturday. Dark Sphere, we had 53 people, which was pretty big.
Yeah.
Really
good
good
size.
showing. Dark Sphere hosted nationals and has a very strong armory scene every Friday. About 20 or so people showing up on the regular, which is really good. And a lot of people come down for the Dark Sphere events because a lot of people have a history of Dark Sphere. It's quite a long running card game, board game, wargaming place in London. It has been for some time. I was playing Fi. I actually bought all the cards for a Dash deck, and then I couldn't be bothered to build it, so I just took my Fi deck instead. And I'm glad I did. I was very rusty, so I think if I tried to play a deck I hadn't played before, and also hadn't played since November, it would have been really bad. I went to an armory the night before the ProQuest at Dark Sphere, and I went 0-2, and then I just went home. But I was like, got my losses out the way, and then was ready to actually play the game again. And then Dark Sphere, I went 4-2, finished 13th out of 53, which was good. I lost to a Rhinar because I kind of forgot what Rhinar does, and I lost to Alexi because I hate playing Lexi.
Yeah, Lexi's a really tough.
Lexi's tough for fire, and this Lexi player plays a very I think he himself described it as very high roll deck, so I don't think he would be offended if I said that. But it's got all the, it's got 3 Art Wars, 3 3 of a kinds. It's just trying to do some broken turn and then
Voltaire or Death Dealer?
Voltaire, and then when it's not doing that, it's just trying to disrupt you as much as possible. It's really fun looking deck. So I did make the top cut of that one, but then I went to Dyson Destiny the next day. Round 1, I got paired up against Jang, who's a very good player. He was playing Icelander. He was playing Dromai on Saturday, and then he swapped to Icelander, which was very disappointing because I was playing Fi, and I really wanted to beat his Dromai because it's easier. Lost the Jang, and then I just submarined into the top 8. Just won my next 4 games. Played some really good players. Met some really nice people. Some people that were new to the game. Some people who have been playing for a while. The Canterbury scene is very chilled. Very nice people.
Yeah.
Went into the top 8. Played a Fi mirror, and I didn't draw my Art of Wars, so my opponent did. So I lost. And then that was that. And I got my sleeves and my coin for my trouble, which maybe we'll talk about prize support for PQs in a bit. But before we get into that, maybe Hamish, you can tell us a bit about your time.
Yeah. Well, mine will kind of link in with Simon's a little bit because I know you went to the Battle Harden English. Simon,
you speak English?
You speak English?
So Hamish has been struck down by this coffee beer.
Oh my god! No,
he's really not taken too well to that.
If you're on this podcast, you probably just heard him spurt it out, and then he's been making faces for the last 10 minutes. So.
Yeah, it's grim as fuck. Unlike my performance at Underworld Gaming, I stuck to my guns. I brought my Bolton Raiden deck there,
You absolutely loved it.
and I had a
The
blast.
joy on his face, listeners, was something to behold. He was in such a good mood all day.
I was like this. If you've seen this on YouTube, I'll explain it on the podcast. My face was beaming.
It was. He was a happy chappy all day.
Yeah. So I went in with well, I don't know, moderate to zero expectation of how the day was going to go. I told him ice is a thing, if you didn't know. And Bolton is not really the biggest fan of that. But I played a couple of games prior to hand, and I tried to make the most of this sort of heavy ice approach, put it in 2 E-pots in the deck, and kind of upped up my blue count with a little bit more, and coming in with some bit of a stronger attacks, like a couple of 7s, whatnot. And yeah, I think it ultimately really paid off. The deck didn't feel like I was actually doing like it used to do back in the Monarch days, of where it used to just pop off and just go. Let's just go. Everyone's it's got attack actions for blocks, and everyone's being chain and katsu, right? It was a really racy time, and I think that's when you can see some mad stuff. And then throughout the whole time there, I felt like I was a lot more conservative and blocked up, and just tried to I don't know. It was just like it felt like it was just a little bit more. Just play an attack, followed up by just the sword, and just get like some incremental value over time. And then when you've got this huge turn of where you're going to go, all right, I've got my Spirit of Arena in there. I've got a Via the Vanguard in Arsenal. It's going to be charge, however much, and then I've got Illumina, which when you play Illumina, now we've fixed this Spirit of Arena has now fixed the Via the Vanguard Lumina Ascension problem.
Yeah.
That no one cares about now, but it used to be a thing we used to moan about when it was Monarch, that, you play Via the Vanguard, then you play Lumina Ascension, closing the chain, which means you can't get the buff from Via the Vanguard. Those two cards should have always thought they'd work together. Now they do, ladies and gentlemen, because you don't have to break the chain, and it brings nothing but joy to my face. So yeah, I got into the top 8 with Bolton. 4-1.
You did.
I did.
And you beat an Icelander on the way.
I beat Icelander on the way from Johnny Chapman, which was shocked everyone, including me, including Johnny. I beat a Dorinthia, which I also didn't think was possible. I beat Alexi, which I didn't think this was possible. And the Dromai matchup was also, I didn't know how that would go. But he did say, "Oh my God, why have you put so many poppers in your deck?" And I was like, I don't want to break this to you, but I naturally have a lot of poppers, and this reminds me of the Prism days.
Bolting
because I remember Prism having a rough time going, I can't seem to get damage through. I'm like, dude, I've got like 9 poppers in my deck. Just because it's Bolton. He just has the Celestial Cataclysms and all that sort of stuff. So I was just, every time he was like, I'm going to play Kyloria and swing. No. Whoa, why'd you always have a popper? So yeah, it was a tough matchup. It was good. And then did you
lose to?
I lost to Joe Stamper on Lexi.
He got to the final, so
but the only thing I was very happy about with that is, even though I lost, he was like sweating.
Yeah.
He was like,
he's built that deck and he plays it regularly, and he is a Lexi master.
He is very, very, very good.
He knows that.
He recognized that 1 frostbite equals -4 damage. Like that frostbite was his defense, and he knew that well. But there was a time where he was a bit ahead, but I did manage to just go, I'm just going to go. And he was just like, oh my God, I'm on like 25 health, and I just went right down to 6. And I healed, but then it didn't really matter because, okay, but I kept my hand. So I was like, yeah, I know, you've won. And then I lost in the top 8 to Phi, who was Oscar. How do you pronounce his name? Richichi. Very, very lovely guy. It was, but the game was not. It was a non-game, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I did thoroughly, because I know that we were from the Monarch days, right? We remember having a lot of fun with Raiden for Zero. And he doesn't know this, So I just go, I've got no cards in hand. I've got one card in hand. Raiden. He's like, God, what's he gonna do? What is he gonna do? And in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna do fucking nothing. Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do nothing. But please block. And he was like, I was really tempted to block. And then he'll go, no blocks. Cool, pass. Your turn. So
Incredible.
yeah. And then Sunday, I'll keep this a lot shorter. I played Scott Mine's Dromaris deck, and the moment I sat down, and the Icelander was Johnny Chapman, by the way, when I played Bolton, and I beat him. And he shows up to Manascrew, round 1, Johnny Chapman again, and he's on Icelander, and he's like, okay, I definitely think I'm going to have a better time this time. But dude, I'm playing Dromai Iris. He was like, Iris, what the fuck is this? And he just... He was like,
Face just dropped.
He was just like, this deck is rubbish. And then Rob Cannon was saying, like, what? Why are you bringing this? This deck is trash. I was like, okay, fair enough. And I won. It was the freest game I've ever played in my life.
Yeah,
Freest game.
It should be pretty good, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's insanely free.
Yeah.
And I just said, to the point where I'm learning how to play the deck, and I won on 20 health. That's how free it is. And when the second I know what I'm doing, you got no chance. I won against Johnny. Then I played up against Thingy. Oh, I'm having a brain fart. Tabletop
Good
24.
Alan?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Was Alan playing?
Alan! God, I kept thinking it was Aaron.
He was playing, was he?
Yeah, he was playing. He was on Dromai.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he played Dromai Mirror. That's incredibly rough. And then I played Rob Canton. Rob Canton's like, what are you playing? Playing Dromai Iris. And he's like, okay, I think I've got a plan.
And he was on Icelander as well.
He was on Icelander. And I said, I'm so sorry, Rob. This is just like Bash all over again. Right? I show up with Starvo. Well, that's all it. And Oldims.
Yeah, you ruined his day at Bash all that time ago, didn't you?
More people should play Dromai Iris.
Yeah, they should. 100%. 100%.
How's the Fi matchup?
Terrible. It's an auto loss.
It's an auto loss. Yeah.
It's terrible. But that's what he said. He's like, well, why would you play this if you're just going to lose to Fi? And I was like,
if anyone who's playing Dromai is like, there's some really good Dromai players out there, don't get me wrong, but I think most of them will admit that Fi is a pretty bad matchup.
No matter what build you're playing.
Why not secure 2 really important matchups and just be like, screw it.
Yeah, that's what Prism did, didn't she, when it was the Starvo match? I was just like, I really do have a rough time against ninjas and rune blades, but Jesus, there's all this Starvo that I can just mop up. So I thought it was a good shout. But yeah, I comfortably won that one as well, with plenty of health to spare. And then I got into my winning in with Captain Badger, our new Patreon. Yes.
Is that who it is? Yeah. Oh, that's really great.
So he joined up for sympathy because I'm joking. But
shelled it.
He played Oldhim, and I got to a point where we were going to get timed out. So I just said I concede you win.
I think that's fair though, because you were playing the deck for the first time, and it's like you probably weren't playing
optimally.
At the speed that you would normally play. I think that's a pretty fair.
Plus, he was wearing the push point hat. Can't do that.
No,
but I did. I said in turns ahead, I would eventually. I could see in 4 turns I'm going to lose. So there's no point dragging us both down. And then I lose to James Ashall. I tell him rubbish with names. He on Viserai, and I lost to him. Yeah, good game. James, that was actually a very good game.
Really good Viserai player. I was watching him on stream.
Yes, it's incredibly difficult though, and I will say this, James, right? And it's not an excuse, but as a seasoned Viserai player, I am telling you now, if you hit Sonata 3 times in a row and 2 Mordred ties and all 3 Revels, I don't really know what I'm going to do to stop this.
He missed 3 Sonatas.
I was going to say,
I did say you
when he was on stream, he missed all of them.
He was due.
He was due, and it was on me. He really did get that. I was like, oh my god.
Faith, right?
Mordred ties.
There was a top 8 Viserai at Darksphere. A guy, he's played Viserai a lot. A lot of people stuck with it, are doing well, but it's tough. It is tough.
It's tough. It's a tough match.
So Simon,
I went to Underworld as Hamish did on the Saturday. I went 3-2 with Katsu. I lost.
What did you come, Simon?
9th.
You must have been. You went 2-0.
No, I went win, lose, win, lose, win.
I did feel bad though when
Yeah.
they
I
said,
beat-
"Hamish, if you concede, Simon can get into the top 8." I said, "What? So if I concede, you'll put Simon in the top 8?" And they went, "Yeah." And I was like, "Absolutely not."
No, it wasn't about conceding. It was they were just making sure that everyone was able to stay for the top 8.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I would.
no,
Just to make
I
sure
beat
Simon
Johnny
can go
Chapman. I beat Icelander, which was unexpected. I didn't think that matchup would go that well. I lost to an Oldham, which was not unexpected. I beat a Bravo Mikey. I beat Mikey round 3.
Yeah, he said, "I'm
But,
quitting Fab. I
he
just
didn't
lost to a
enjoy that.
man with a mustache."
Yeah. And then I lost to Phi. I got thoroughly outplayed by Jacob Hand, who came top
Jacob
25
Hand.
at Worlds on Phi.
Yeah, Jacob Hand's
the same deck, pretty much.
He's a machine.
He's very good.
And then I beat another Phi in the final round.
Nice.
Yeah,
And came 9th.
it's a good
To be
result,
honest,
though. To be fair,
I enjoyed apart from the game where I played very poorly. I enjoyed the whole day. I came 9th, 3 and 2, not bad, and I got 10 packs of Dynasty for coming 9th, which was quite nice.
yeah,
I'm
Underworlds did very good on their.
a couple of
prize pool.
shout outs. A shout out to Dibs and Underworld Games for putting up a huge amount of product. I think they gave away over 100 packs. There were 22 players that started the ProQuest, and I think they gave over 100 packs away as prize support, which was
Yes.
amazing. In addition to obviously the sleeves, top 8, and the resource coin.
Yeah, I should add, because I was digging at the prize support, that was very much about the official prize support, because both Dark Sphere and Dice and Destiny provided really good additional prize support. Dark Sphere was you got a pack for every round you played, which I actually really liked, because it meant that people who might have dropped actually
That's good,
continued
actually.
to play. I think that's really cool. And Dice and Destiny, like I think it was a flat number of packs for being part of it.
Yeah.
And then if you had a positive win record, so if you went 3-2 or higher, you then got tiered packs
that's
based on
good.
every entry, which I thought was good fun too. So
I would
fair
like
play
to.
to those.
I would like
launches
to
as well.
add to as well. This is then to throw in what Manascrew. Manascrew did the same thing. He offered. He had first edition Monarch, first edition Tales, and Dynasty, Everfest, and history packs. And you're allowed to take one Monarch first ed, one Tales first ed, and 4 of any of the other ones you wanted. And that
So
was
it's
just the flat. That
quite
was just the
cool.
flat pack rate.
I
So
remember the art.
Mark's very good at flat
yeah,
rate
he's
entries.
he's kept a lot of first edition stuff just to throw out to
Yeah.
events. So yeah, it was top
I
top
got
price support.
I remember getting a Monarch first ed for Manascrew for RTM
Oh,
and
yeah.
opening a cold foil Husk. That was pretty hype.
It's still, I
And,
know, it's still wild to think that actually, there's not
That
really
was so
Monarch
crazy.
first ed stuff about, and the fact that he
Well,
was
James
still
got one,
yeah.
didn't he? And opened a shard.
Yeah, that's what
one
they
that was the
single
crew.
You could, yeah, Manascrew had crew for
He's still
for a
got
bit.
crew.
First
I
ed crew.
think.
He's
I
still
think
got-
he's still got first aid crew
Um,
kicking about.
Also, shout out to
And
Jack.
welcome to Wraith Alpha.
Shout out to Jack, one of our patrons who got top 8 in
Wait.
Underworld.
He actually,
I thought
won
Jack
shout out to-
Raven
no,
won
no, wait a
Bristol.
minute,
Oh,
wait a
sorry.
minute.
All right. Oh, we're jumping ahead.
Jack Nottingham local Patreon got top 8 in Underworld.
Fantastic.
Jack Raven got he won at Bristol, didn't he?
Mhm.
So you got Jack, you got local Jack who top 8'd, and then
Yeah.
we've got Southampton. Well,
Correct.
I don't know if he lives in Southampton, but that's where he plays. Jack Raven, who won, one PQ
1-1 split
and
one?
tried split a
Yeah.
next one, because it was Icelander versus Oldham, and they were both very tired, and they didn't want to play another
I
Yeah.
don't believe
hour-long
it.
game, so they
Another
went home. And I was like, fair play. I
And
appreciate
congrats
that.
to you two for getting top 8 each. That was pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Um,
I realized I found out something at Dice and Destiny, because like I
Yeah.
said, I lost my first game and then I won my next 4 games, so I went
Yeah.
4-1. I was on the Swiss. I was 4th. After I finished the 5th game, 3 different people individually came up to me and said, "Oh, I think you may have just made it in with your record." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Well, because you're 3-2." And
What?
I was like, "No, I won. I won my
Oh,
last game."
no.
They're like, "Oh, okay, okay." And then another person came up, said exactly the same thing. And then another person came up and said exactly. So now do I project 3-2 energy? That is what
Ah,
That's what I'm saying. So I project the energy of someone who just makes the top 8.
I will say
you
that
know.
sometimes I think it's down to your resting face. You're like this.
I'm just so
Well, and it's
chill.
no good for
So
no good for
chilled.
audio.
Super chilled.
You just look like you haven't won. And then I go, you're right. You're like, yeah, I fucking thrashed him. I was like, oh,
He's so locked in. So locked in.
yeah,
I
he's
was
locked
sitting there
in.
like I'm locked, and everyone's like, "Whoa, it's going to be tight between us." I think I might be. It's either you're 9th or I'm 9th. And I'm like, mate, I'm 4th.
Bloody hell, man.
Do we
shall
have any other Patreon shout-outs? Did anyone else perform?
Welcome, Cat. Yeah, I think I haven't heard much in the world of our Patreon side of
Yeah,
things.
that's fine.
But just welcome, Captain Badger. Welcome to the patronship, and I highly encourage everyone to come and jump in. It's
well done for Darren for playing Azalea and
Darren,
Dalton this weekend.
you're nuts.
Sucker for punishment.
Yeah, I know.
He gets the
Okay.
results though with these heroes.
Patrons
we're
have
gonna
come in.
move on.
Do it because Underworlds is going to be over here.
I want to. Jake
In
made
Heightwind.
top 8 at Dyson Destiny.
Oh
Jake.
yes, Jake
Oh,
got
perfect.
top 8
And I
as
want to
well.
give a big shout out to Jake for building a anti-Fi Dramai deck and then going to a PQ with only 3 5 players.
Well done,
Probably the
Jake. Well
lowest
done.
in the country. Well done, Jake. A classic Jake move.
Smashed it.
And
Fuck
but you
these
got top 8.
guys. They're not showing. They
and
knew
he-
you
and
were
he-
coming, so they all
He,
went.
he played 1 Fi and he lost that game.
Oh,
Perfect.
He
You're
had
giving away
one
all his
shot.
secrets now. Come on.
That's so funny.
All right, we are going to move on because we've
I was
got
built to kill
um,
you.
we've got 20 minutes to talk
Have we
about.
got 20 minutes? Jesus
We got
Christ!
longer
I
than
think
that.
I think this is a long one. I think everyone buckle up. We're here
Just
for the
stop.
questions.
Strap in.
You two, just stop. Right,
Just
we've
go.
got some questions.
Okay,
We've got plenty.
question me.
We have some questions.
Fucking hell! We've only got 20 minutes. Hurry up.
Right. So I know Trip has mentioned there's a bit of concern, not just in the UK but globally, on the amount of prize support that is being offered for ProQuest and particularly actually Battle Hardened as well. So
Yeah,
Battle Hardened.
so these are, as we've just said, we've all attended events this weekend that have had fantastic prize support added in on top of the LSS prize support in terms of packs and product.
Yeah.
But Battle Hardened, for example, is a $40 or £35 entry.
Mhm.
I went to the Living Realms Battle Hardened, and there was a flat rate 3 packs of Dynasty per person given out as you signed up for the event, as you registered at the event,
And that was it.
and that was it. So 3 packs per player. I mean, there were 170 players, so that's a huge amount of product.
Yeah, but it is 30. I know.
And it was £35. But I mean, there's got to be a balance, hasn't there? So Living Realms are running the event. They've Battle Hardens tend to be the ones I've seen, the ones that have been run at Callings or the Worlds, the ones that are run independently, like Leeds in the Royal Armories. They tend to be in big venues. They cater to a lot of players. And actually, I think a lot of your entry fee is going on location.
The rent.
But I can't really say that I felt I got good value for a day out. I paid 35 quid plus travel. I had a great day. It took about 10 hours to play all the games, get the lunch in, see some of the top 8 and drive home. Like, I enjoyed my day. I can't say that it was I can't say that I felt massively shortchanged, but I also see the point that the only prizing there is for anyone is top 8.
But I think it's good. I genuinely think we need an armory for Battle Hardens, right? Like some kind of and we've started to see this at Callings. So at the Calling in Auckland, and I think another Calling there, you get a is it a cold foil Young Dash?
Yeah. So the Callings they get.
We got cold volcanoes. I think we need to see
We didn't
something
know
similar.
the Americans got cold volcanoes.
Yeah, but it was for the Callings that they got in the US, I think. And I think we need to see some kind of equivalent. blanket not prize. No, I don't think it should be a
A
prize.
participation.
Participation
Yeah.
card that you get for taking part in the Battle Harden, because you get something for the Pro Tour. We got the Yorick.
Yeah.
I'll ignore the map. The maps are obviously great, but and then at Pro Tour 2, the
You got the
Hummingbird, and
hummingbird.
all this jazz. Calling, you get something. You go to an armory, you nearly always you get a promo. As skirmish, there's
ProQuest, we
normally
got
a
something.
Pro
Oh, the
Quest, you
top
get the
24
coin.
got the coin.
Most people get the coin. Skirmish, most people get
Yeah.
the skirmish promo. And then the Battle Harden is currently sitting in this
It's
weird
in
no
limbo,
man's
isn't it?
land where
Yeah.
there's no participation prize, and it's just for the Battle Harden. I think it's a pretty simple fix from LSS. It's just to provide something of equivalence to those other events, especially when there's this expectation that a Battle Harden is a
Mm.
higher tier event. But I'm not because it rewards a PTI to the top 2, I
Yes,
believe.
top 2.
And I just think you need to throw if you're going to have an event with 100 people, which is what Battle Hardens are. This isn't even really about the UK Battle Harden. This is Battle Hardens across the board. If you're going to have events where you're trying to cater to 100 plus people, I do think you just got to give something to those people, and you just got to print something and give it out.
And
That's
actually, I've seen. Sorry, I should say this question was from Josh, otherwise known as Lumpy, on Twitter. Thank you, Josh, for the question. But
yeah, it's a good question.
the other thing I've seen suggested is whether they actually scale the prizing and the PTIs, Pro Tour invites, with the number of entries, which would make sense in a way. Like, if you've got 150 player Battle Harden, should there be 4 PTIs on offer rather than 2? Should there be for a Pro Quest? If there's 20 players,
we're still looking top heavy.
we are still looking top heavy. I'm just saying.
But this is for invites to the Pro Tour, right?
Yeah.
This isn't about. So we've moved on now from the Battle Harden because everyone agreed with what I said, and we're talking now about the Pro Quest and the amount of invites to the Pro Tour that you get.
I do agree with what you said, though.
Well, no,
Jet.
for the Battle Harden as well, because they have PTIs at the top of the Battle Harden as well.
Yeah, like I think the Pro Quest part I think is easier. I think LSS probably have a number of Pro Quest invites, Pro Tour invites that they want to give out, and they could easily tier that in the same. Well, I say easily, I don't know how hard it is, but they could do that in the same way that they tier pre-release events. So some stores get enough they get one kit, some stores get 2 and others get 3, and that means they can have 16, 32 or 48 people at their pre-release. I don't see why we couldn't do something similar for Pro Quests where some events reward 1 PTI, others reward 2, and others reward 4. And that would incentivize people, I think, a bit for these larger scale ones. I think people are getting a bit hung up on these 160 player PQs. I think they're a bit of an
they're not
anomaly,
happening.
and I don't think you should make your policy based around these one-off things that kind of just happen when you have something next to a Battle Harden.
What's your average? The average is what?
Yeah,
your average is like 30 to
32.
Yeah, 32 is an
probably
average.
averages out it probably averages out around 25 to 26
Yeah.
people when you look at like the 12 player ones, the 16 player ones, the 32 player ones, and then the places like Darksphere who get the 50 plus people. But yeah, I think that's a really good suggestion to tier the number of Pro Tour invites. But then there's the matter that a lot of people in the UK don't want to go.
Yeah, they don't want to go to
Pro Tour.
Baltimore.
It's too expensive. They don't understand what Baltimore is like, and they're scared of that, and people don't want to go for their own personal reasons. So it's like, how do we then incentivize people to take part in the Pro Quests when the Pro Tour is taking place in America? And I think that's something that LSS should probably think about before people just stop taking part.
Kind of funny, really, because I think everyone's obviously got their own different journeys and wants from the game, right? And I think I looked at the Pro Quest, and none of us were going to go to the Pro Tour because we can't financially afford to go, no matter where they were going to slap it in America, right? But I think it's just also a lot of the time Pro Quests tend to just be an opportune moment to come and meet up with card game friends to play some games. And I think if you're going to pay £25 to £30 to go to a ProQuest event, I think what the price support they had for this ProQuest event felt better. I might be just forgetting about the last ones, but I certainly thought like I liked the Fab Metal token that was on offer. I thought the top 8 side of things was not as good as the last ones from what I remember, because it was.
I mean,
just
some
this...
people put more value on sleeves than others. I generally
think
don't use the ones that get given out anyway. But
No, I think the sleeves are kind of dog shit. No offense.
Put a value of £10 on sleeves because that's how much it would cost me to buy sleeves for a draft.
But it's just
And
like
I will literally just use mine for the next draft, or I'll probably just use it for the pre-release for Outsiders, right?
It just seems a bit wild to put, something that is what I see as consumable as some sort as something of like, oh look, yeah.
But then some people go crazy for them.
No, I get that, but I think this is, I loved the Road to Nationals in the Monarch season where the top 8 there was like Coldfield Heroes on offer.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved all that. I just think sleeves are shit, but I love the participation prizes of the Fab Metal tokens was actually just quite a nice little different thing. Personally, and I think this is an easy fix, I just do not understand why they just don't put in the kit a couple of like nods to heroes and just go and just for events to go, by the way, we also just have this thing of whoever's the highest placed hero gets this card or this alternate artwork of this, I don't know, Runeblade thing. I don't know, just something. Just to make people just feel like there is another.
There's two different.
Like I think that can always, like, even if you had that in the Battle Harden, right? Battle Harden just stayed where it was. So maybe you could turn around and go, yeah, the participation prizes are what they are, okay? And the top 8 is pretty heavy, right? But amongst all of the Swiss, which, when you got 170 players and you lose round 1, you're fucked. You're never getting in the top 8. You might as well call it quits. If you're trying to go any further, you're never getting into the top 8. But during the Swiss rounds, if they turn around and went, because it's just one event, it's going to be a big one, not a series of events, have that whole look. We have got some cold foil young heroes or cold foil whatever or something around the hero stuff.
This is the thing we have to separate. Like, there is prize support supplied by LSS.
Yeah, but that's just,
and then there is prize support supplied by the tournament organizer.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that the tournament.
There is no stipulation by LSS on what the local tournament organizer should provide.
Yeah, but you're thinking ProQuest. I'm thinking Battle Harden.
No, I'm thinking Battle Harden as well. Like, there's only so much support provided by LSS that TO has to pick up the rest.
How many heroes are there? Literally just print, just have, and it's one event. You can go, cool, like, here's your 15 cards. Let's say there's 15 heroes.
I'm not,
and just go, whoever is the highest placed Viserai player gets this. Whoever's the highest placed Rhinar player. And then at the end, you encourage people to stay on to the event and battle. And they'll go, you know what, I'm probably never going to make top 8, but I'd love to be the best Rhinar player. That's just exciting enough.
But what I'm saying is there's a community swell of opinion that there are some tournament organizers that aren't providing enough prize support for the entry fee because the tournament organizers are taking the entry fee, right? So, but there's a separate issue in that, is LSS providing enough prize support? And that's what you're dealing with there.
Oh, I think it's it's not exactly, I don't know how, it just feels largely inexpensive.
It's just a classic situation of one, like, if LSS are probably going to say that the TO should do it, and the TO's going to say that LSS should do it. And I think, to be honest with you, I kind of think LSS should do it. They have the capabilities to print the product. They have the capabilities to make the promos. And honestly, I think they could curry a lot of good favor. It kind of leads to this awkward situation where people are annoyed at the LGSs if they don't give a certain number of packs as prize support. And it's kind of like, well, the LGSs, they're not doing this for the big bucks. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't
I know what you mean.
But not... no one opens a game store to become a millionaire, right? Like, they do it a lot of the time because of the community. They love games, and I don't want to get into that, but like, I think I think LSS could be more strategic with the promos they provide and the prizes that they provide. And I know that it's difficult for them. They're based out in New Zealand, and they've gone really big, really fast. And when we look at these things, we're like, oh, it's easy, right? Like we've got these big stores in these places in the UK, how it can be, but it's because they have to do this equivalency with what's with in America, where it's bloody huge, right? Like
Yeah.
imagine how many stores there are in America, and then they have to every time we come up with this great idea here on Point where we say, oh yeah, you should just do this, this, and this. And it's like, yeah, that would work really well if they were just dealing with the UK, or even if
Yeah,
they were
yeah.
just dealing with Europe, but they're not. They're dealing with Europe, the US, Australia, New
Asia.
Zealand, Japan, and doing anything with all of those, getting the things to
Oh,
be in the right
it's
places at the right
crazy.
time. It's really hard. And I've spoken about this before, I think, on the podcast. I mentioned a few times, which is why I think they should create some kind of credit system, so that rather than getting prizes at tournaments, you basically get points that you can then exchange for prizes on some
Which is the
kind of
prize wall, right? But they don't do that
like
for
an
the big
online prize wall,
tournaments.
because then they can have everything centralized. They don't have to ship this stuff out. If you want that Prism statue, you can go to your local army, you can grind, you can get the points, and then when you get 100,000 fab
Million points. Yeah,
points,
yeah, yeah.
you can go on fabprizewall.nz or whatever it is and you can type in your gem
.fu.
ID, and you can say, I've got 1,000,000 points, and they ship it out to you the following. Like,
Yeah,
I think a better way of doing it, I don't think that's going to happen at all. And it's like, what can LSS do?
I thought my idea
Can
was easier. Just print, just have
No,
a
I agree.
just have a battle hardened
It's
stamped
just a
I agree
Viserai that
with you
it's
goes
just a
both.
boom. Here
logistics,
you
isn't
go.
it, of
You
getting these
are
places in the
champion.
right
I agree
and
with you
stopping
both.
people.
Promo
This is the
cards
thing,
cost them minimal amounts to print, right?
Yeah,
and
just
the bigger
just
they go,
stamp
the
battle
more
harden on it.
the more bad actors there are. There's going to be stores in the middle of nowhere who are just going to say thank you very much, stick
Yeah.
that on eBay, and LSS have got to keep an eye out for all of that stuff as well. It, and in that makes me think we put things in the hands of the stores, because then they can then do things centralized. I do think there are answers to this, and we come up with a few of them, and we like to say they're simple. I think it's fair to recognize it's a lot more complicated than any of us.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right.
Anyway,
We're going to
Let's
move on
move
because
on.
we've taken 15 minutes talking about that.
oh, it was a good question.
It was a
It
good
was a
one.
great question, Josh. And Josh has also come in with another question that's been echoed by a couple of other different people, including Patrick Shaw. And Patrick says, there seems to be two conflicting views of the meta right now.
Oh,
It's either the most balanced meta Fab has ever had, or Ice Heroes have a chokehold on everything. What's your take, and how does that view affect your expectations for the ban and restricted announcement on the 30th of the 1st? So that was echoed by a couple of people. Patrick, Josh, and even Kale McCreath is wading into that conversation.
Simon,
so
why don't you
what do you think?
Simon, why don't you kick off with your thought?
So I think the first weekend of this ProQuest season was very ice heavy, and I think we're already seeing aggro decks adjust to that and make a bit of a dent in the scene. However, Oldham does seem to be super strong at the moment, particularly Crown of Seeds based Oldham, who can do a huge amount with just one card. So I think there is a bit of an ice heavy mix at the top. I think aggro are making headway back into the meta. I do think it's quite balanced. I'm enjoying playing what I'm playing at the moment, and I don't really feel like any game is out of reach. But I can see why certain cards like Crown of Seeds are causing consternation among player base, because they seem to be so far above the curve as to be causing some problems. Now, do I think that they're going to do anything with the ban and restricted announcement this close to Outsiders? Probably not, actually.
Greg, what do you think?
I don't think it's. I think the question is it the most balanced meta we've had since the start of Fab? No idea. Maybe. In terms of is Ice dominating? Ice is doing well.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I think there's a lot of decks out there who are doing well. It, there's been a little bit of talk out on Twitter and stuff, people saying like at the very high end, it's kind of like solved. Well, not solved, but like the best player playing Icelander or the best player playing Oldhim is like always going to win or something like that.
Mm.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not the best player and I don't play with the best players. I play with some players who could probably get there.
Yeah.
At my level, down in the depths of, you know, all right at Fab, I think I can still just about call myself that. It's great. I
The
think that
depths of
my
all
my
right at
meta,
Fab.
my personal meta, where I play, the people I play with, I'm really enjoying it. I'm
Yeah.
playing Fi. I'm not playing an Ice Hero. I'm loving it. I'm playing the occasional Icelander, playing the occasional Oldhim. The fact of the matter is, Oldhim, for I'm going to say it, probably for the majority of players, just don't like playing Oldhim because it can be really dull.
Yeah.
And where I'm playing, no one plays it because they just don't enjoy playing it. So we've got a couple of Oldhims. They love it. I'm sure some people do. But I still playing in a meta where not everyone is coming with the full kitted out Oldhim and the full kitted out Icelander every week. And that means we've got variety. Like I don't know what, you know, if we had a pro tour tomorrow, we could probably have the answer to your question. But we don't have one for a while. So I think let's let outsiders come out and see what
Yeah.
happens after that.
I think it's I think that both answers are right. I feel like from my pro quests and road to nationals from when we started, felt like it was extremely polarizing. From Chain, Briar, Starvo. It was when you jumped into those metas, I think it was very much there was a clear target to try and beat. Like more than anything. And if you're not them, beat them. Very much that. And I don't think that's the case now. And that's probably why that feeling of balance is there, because I think we've got a slight boogeyman, which is Icelander. But then at the same time, we're kind of like, oh yeah, Icelander's a bit really annoying to deal with. Fi, very annoying to deal with. Oldhim's really annoying to deal with. There isn't like this one Starvo Chain or Briar meta that's like 50% of the field everywhere. I just don't see that being the case. I also agree that Ice is incredibly annoying. It's now, I think we're going through a period of where Ice has actually managed to really flex. And a lot of people are getting a bit annoyed by that because they can't, you know, just rush and go mad and have fun with doing mad ass combos. And I know this is a Viserai player. It's incredibly frustrating when you can't do stupid, here's 12 rune chants followed up by all this other crap I gave you before. I think I remember saying this when Prism left Living Legend, where how annoyed we were with Prism at the time when she was about. And when she got Living Legend, I remember saying, I think that she was gatekeeping. She was literally the light and savior. And we never appreciated what she was actually holding back. And what she was holding back was this completely
the Guardians.
the Guardians and Icelanders and stuff of this complete. Oh, winter is now coming now that she is gone.
And the thing to remember is that this is a style of gameplay that a lot of people enjoy, and we just, if people don't like it, it's fair enough. Don't get me wrong.
Do you know who the real person that actually gatekeeps? The problem.
But we have to let these players who enjoy this kind of gameplay have some time to let their decks be the top of the meta.
You know who I think the biggest problem is, and I honestly don't believe it's Oldhim or Icelander. It is Fi. Fi is.
I'll disagree.
No. I think honestly, Fi is the problem. There is some
it's not.
clear.
Fi's the aggro deck.
Everyone's
I've heard this.
No, let him finish it. Let him finish it.
Yeah, come on, man. I hate Fi. I hate Fi's simplicity. That's a lie. I'll take that back. I love Fi's simplicity. I think Fi's place into this world is very important. I think that he is, when people want to be beat stick, I think Fi is a very good person to teach people how to play the game in the beat stick manner. Just like we've got red decks, there's always an aggro deck, right? And I think Fi encapsulates what that aggro deck should really be all about. I just hate how efficient it really is, and how much actually, there are other styles of playing aggro with Viserai and Bolton and even Lexi and so on and so on. They really just cannot keep up about what he is offering. He is insane to the point where he was actually dealing with people that should be disrupting him pretty well, like Oldhim and Iyslander, and they do.
0 for 3, 0 for 3, 0 for 3.
Just all this is it's just kind of draining. And it feels like creative heroes like potentially Dash, potentially Reiner, potentially Levia, potentially. Do you know what I mean? There's quite a lot of potentialities that actually they have no problem whatsoever with Oldhim and Iyslander. They actually they can actually just give you decent matchups, but Fi just goes, no, I'm just going to nail you to the ground because it's incredibly easy and we'll just beat you out of wanting to show up.
You make a really good point. And
then they'll go, and then we'll go, cool, we can have a fun time with Iyslander and Oldhim. I was like, oh god, it's so frozen. And Fi is actually stopping the people dealing with them.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying.
He's gatekeeping.
I don't agree.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to.
These Oldhims and you make it sound like these Oldhim and Iyslander players are just playing Fis to get to these top 8. They're killing all the other decks as well. If you think that a Fi if you think that Fi is the best aggro deck, Fi is killing the Icelanders and the Oldhims because it's doing well at aggro, and you're then saying that this inferior aggro deck is going to kill the Icelanders and Oldhims.
What he's saying is more that there would be more creativity from other heroes if they didn't have to try and deal with Fi.
Season,
I know we do. Don't take it personally. We're not saying that because you play Fi, you're a bad person. I've played Fi.
No, it's just because every season it's something else. It's this.
Yeah, but it's funny. No one's moaning about Fi.
We're having a discussion about the
meta. He's not even third place. He is oppressively. He is oppressively.
It's Oldhim and Iyslander at the top, and then Fi is there, and this always happens. Is that people like we hear it with the ban list. It's like, oh well, we should hit Iyslander and Oldhim, and then we'll hit Fi as well. Just don't touch any of them.
I actually wonder whether Briar is outperforming Fi at the moment.
It probably
in the progress.
is.
It isn't. I can tell you. I can tell you categorically. Briar's the only reason Briar is doing well is because of Channel Mount Heroic, because Briar has this.
Exactly.
Literally, I know, and that card is shit. It's a shit card.
No,
right?
it's not.
It's
it
a
does
very
what
good
it does.
card. I know it does what it does.
What is this take?
I don't understand where Hamish has gone. He's gone from making a fairly decent point.
No, I'm just saying that Briar is a classic rune blade. Briar is Channel Mount Heroic. I'm going right. Seriously, because they're basically, I hope my hand's not shit, and if it isn't, I win. Right? Whereas none of the others go for all that. Runeblade is very hand dependent. They can brick and they're fucked, or they've just got something broken and it's just super. It's good or bad. That's it. That's Runeblade.
I think take Briar... it back before the Briar chat, because I think let's focus on the thing with Fi is that
let's focus.
I do understand that a lot of people don't like it because it's simplistic or they think it's like too efficient. And I think that's fine. We have. I think we've got to. There's a couple of things I just want to say. Oldhim is a bit of an exception to this. Iyslander, Fi, two the most recent heroes in the game, along with Dramai. That gives them a natural advantage over any other hero. They have access to the most recent cards. If you agree with a vague kind of like natural power creep within any kind of card game, which will just generally tend to creep upwards. Whatever the newest heroes are tend to be a little bit better. And then in the next set, things will get printed. Like the next set, we've got on-hit things with Katsu stuff. We've got 2 new rangers.
Another ninja shit.
Through.
That's what I'm fearing the most.
These are things that are going to absolutely obliterate Fi. Imagine things like poison the tip stuff with a new ranger, discard a card every time you get hit or something. Imagine that. Like, but we want to get in. We're like, I hate Fi. It's too efficient. But in the next set, we're getting incredible disruption coming through.
Can I just end this on one point? Can I just end this on one point? Right.
Yeah.
I am talking on the level of where we are now. And let me just say that Fi in terms of my annoyance of Fi, is nowhere near as it ever has been with Chain, Starvo, and Briar. Like they were up there as this is pretty stupid. Fi is actually fair. He's a lot more fairer. He's not as stupid as they are, but he in the grand scheme of things, he's kind of gatekeeping ways of dealing with ice.
It's the classic thing where we're like, he is better than other aggro decks, right?
But it's not even aggro. He just wipes the floor with mid range.
But it's like, what do you want from your game, right? We have to let these new sets come out and then print new cards that will then change the meta. It's like, what are we actually saying here? Are we saying that we should change the meta by hitting heroes or with bans or restrictions? Which I don't think.
I don't think Hamish was even saying any of that. I think he was just making.
He's
the
just
point.
having a moan. He's just
why don't you let someone talk?
I think he's just saying that actually creativity with the creativity outside the top three here.
Oh, mate, it's
go on, say it again.
Again.
Even Virgin Media is trying to shut you down. Trip controls your broadband, I swear.
I just pressed my switch.
And then Trip goes...
No, go ahead, Science.
Yeah,
is it working now?
Yeah.
Normal. All right. I think the point Hamish is making is creativity outside of the top three is hit by the fact that Fi is such an efficient aggro deck. Like, I like that top three at the moment. I think it is quite a broad meta. We're seeing more heroes than ever get top 8s in big tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that Fi is such a large part of it means that actually, as Hamish says, other mid-range and aggro decks can't do what they might actually want to do because he's there. Then he's not saying he wants to get rid of them or completely change.
Yeah, you're just saying that it's impacting on the other heroes, which I appreciate.
Prism impacted on Guardians at the time and other wizard decks as well. Fi's having that same issue.
It's the same thing with Oldhim, right? Like an Icelander. I guess maybe you would say that. Like, are we saying that those two heroes aren't having an impact on other decks and making?
Of course they are.
That's just what a meta is.
Icelander is making an impact on every aggro deck par Fi.
No, Fi is definitely included in that.
Well, okay, but it'd be very improper to say he isn't impacted, but he is the best aggro deck to deal with her.
Yeah, because he's got the newest tools. He's got the fancy.
He's the most efficient.
But he is oppressively out. But once you take that away and you go, okay, as an aggro hero, he really is just like heads and toes, just slap. So it's not even like a good race. It's not even a fair race. You can't even race him. Like he is so ahead in the aggro scene.
Well, the only way you can race him is with Channel Mount Heroic.
Channel Mount Heroic can do it. Bowen has no chance whatsoever. I don't know what Katsu's like.
It, according to Jake, I think we're
maybe we're
like
banging on this question too long.
We've gone on too long, but I just think we've got a set coming out where we know we're going to get 2 new heroes.
I'm looking forward to more fucking Ninja.
And we're going to get a new buffed Azalea with a beautiful card.
There's the Runeblade play.
Red in the Ledger.
I love it.
Pretty good against some of these aggro heroes, Fi included. So.
I remember with Dynasty, they said Ranger will get better.
Yeah, it's this time.
Yeah, it's this time. Honestly, this time. Tales of Area, Ranger will get better.
It's really not. But
maybe not Azalea.
Ranger will get better. Dynasty,
the
other
will
get better.
The other Ranger.
How many sets do you need?
The way I would like to finish this is by saying thank you to everyone who submitted questions on Twitter and our Patreons who submitted questions through our Patreon Discord.
Do we have any more? I thought we had
we ran out of time. You came from my boy Fi, so I had to.
We've been going for
can we not have
an hour and 15?
I know.
No.
Have we not got? No, all right. Sorry, everyone.
Tough luck.
But we've covered some big topics. So if we've got some left over, we'll think about using those.
We'll think about it.
Think about it, depending on where we are at the time. Thank you to our patrons for supporting us. It's been amazing. I know the guys will agree to get out and play events again and meet people who listen to the podcast, say hello to people, give away stuff. Sorry, Trip hasn't been giving away stuff because I've still got it here.
It'll happen soon.
It'll happen soon. Yeah, it's just been amazing to get back to playing Fab and in person, and I am definitely loving the game still.
Yeah, we said this
Yeah,
last episode, didn't we? That as soon as we started playing again, we'd and you do, you just remember
you
how
do.
much you love this game and how much you love the community. So
Thank you so much, everyone. You're all awesome, and thank you for saying and
yeah,
coming up to us and saying that that you love our channel as well. That's
100%. It makes it completely worth while doing when people come up and say they like what we do. So
I'll say this every time. It's almost been 2 years.
yeah, we're coming up to
Oh,
a 2-year anniversary.
we are
So
not
All
far
right.
away. So keep an
right,
eye out for some interviews and deck techs that are coming on the
yeah,
channel,
stuff coming.
and let us know what you want to see in future, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
See ya.
Mutual love.
Love you, bye.
See ya.